All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me get that going. Welcome in. Hold on. Got to get my mic a little bit hot. Nope, that's too hot. Maybe I'll just do this one up a little more. 1, 2, there we go. Now I hear it. Hi, everybody. Welcome into the Rant, the noon rant, live from the Kelly Moore Studios here in the beautiful E-Gallery, located in Dallas's fantastic design district. I'm Pugs Moran. I do this each and every day here. Hold on. I swear to God, I've got a couple of issues here. And by the way, I also have to address a major issue that I think is happening right now. Cameron's here. Hey, Cam, how are you? So this is the issue that I want to address. So Restream has completely changed the way we set up this. Did you notice the microphone going in and out, like really heavy? Oh, hold up. See, I used to test all this stuff before I signed on. Moments before the show would begin, I would test everything. I would make sure the levels are good. Can't do that anymore. Why? Because Restream has totally changed their layout, and now I don't know how to do that. And frankly, it took me a year and a half to figure out how to do it the first time. And I don't think I'm just gonna. Twitter promo said 1 today. So that's the other thing that I'm worried about. I'm worried about these shows not being promoted because of the new way this is done. And I'm not like, I used to be able to come and lurk in the chat room and I could see everybody that was gathering in the chat room and then I would sign on. Now it's like, I can't see anybody. Now nobody appears until I hit live. I don't like that. Anyway, we're going to get through it. We're going to get through it and we're going to figure this out. This new Restream will not stop what we're doing here. There you go. Come on, everybody. I see you. You're starting to fill in now. We've got April here. We've got Jeff. We got Frank. We got Toronto. We got Kojak. Hold on. Let me keep going down. We got Jeff. Where's Barney? Where's Byron? Where's everybody else? I can't believe I'm going to have to learn a whole new platform now. Anyway, what do we do here? We do current events talk. It is a current events stream of consciousness, really. It's just me sitting here telling you about all the things that you need to know about today's world. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to get into the Democratic National Convention. Hey. That was a late night, huh? Not even one good window smashing. I was looking for I wanted to watch. We'll talk about it. I got thoughts on the DNC last night. Also, what else do we need to talk about? Oh, we got some fun things we're going to talk about at some point today, like this. What hobbies are the biggest turnoffs to girls? That's right. I got a whole list of hobbies that girls say are the top turnoffs for guys. It's everything I like. We're going to talk about pot states, or pot cities, actually. We've got another list that we'll be combing through on today's rant. We've got it's 20, but we'll only focus on the top 10. The 20 biggest pot-consuming cities in America. And would you be shocked to learn it's not legal in all of these cities? People still openly engaging in civil disobedience. All right, why is that happening? All right, hold on. I'm going to put this down. I'm going to put this down. I'm going to put this down. I'm going to put everything down that I don't think needs to be up. Okay. Down. Is this how about that works? All right. There's Byron. All right, we see you. I just like to, fast is here. Just like to make sure the chat room gets right. It seems, I don't know. Seems like it's been a slow start lately with this new Restream format. So elephant in the room, still feeling a bit mournful, still don't have the answers that we're awaiting, still looking for any kind of way to compartmentalize what we all went through around here last week. Of course, I'm talking about the passing of Kelly Moore, my partner of all of those years. Last week was a big Kelly Moore Love Fest week, but we got to get back to work. But please keep her family in your thoughts. You can check them out. Their GoFundMe page for Kelly's little kids. Kelly's 2 youngest sons. They're just trying to scratch together enough money to get through the next couple of months of legal battles and whatever without completely disrupting these kids' lives. If you want to drop a little something, please go to GoFundMe.com. That's GoFundMe.com in loving memory of Kelly Moore. Or that's too much for you, you can just go to pugsandkellyshow.com. That's a direct link. It'll take you right to that page. So there you go. Please help out if you can. And thank you to everybody who has. So I've been thinking about some stuff. Been getting real contemplative. Been getting real in my dark, middle of the night kind of. And by middle of the night nowadays, that's like 10:45. I don't know when I started going to bed so early, but now all of a sudden I go to bed. I'm asleep before 11 and I wake up before 7. It's crazy. Anyway, last night in my more contemplative moments, I realized something, and that was I have spoken to a whole bunch of people over the past week. A whole bunch of people who I really hold in high personal regard, people that I really like a lot. And it has taken the death of one of us for me to actually reconnect with these people and talk to these people. And I'm thinking last night, I'm like, why is that? I understand to some degree why I do it, but I don't think I'm uniquely special here. I think that we all do this. I think that we all, throughout the course of our lives, there are people that we really want to talk to every day. There are people who we know our lives would be better if they were more present, if they were more engaged with. And it usually takes something like this to happen. And then you have these awkward conversations with people who you love dearly and they love you dearly, but you haven't spoken in 5 years. Now, as I say, I know why I do this, or at least I think that there's a pretty good explanation for why I do this. And maybe it's why you do it as well. But it's almost like, for me, I think it has to do with, if I don't have anything that I'm proud of, if I don't have anything going on in my life that I'm like really jazzed about, and that I know that you will also sit and listen to me, I think that I hide. I think that I'm a bit of a hermit. And I've always been this way. I've always been, I'm an only child, and I was raised by a single mom. So me getting sent to my room in isolation was actually the preference. It wasn't the punishment. It was like, yeah, I'm going to go to my room for the next 10 hours. You'll see me when I come out for school in the morning. I got to change that. I got to change that. And a lot of it has to do with her. And it's because she was not like that. She was I called her weird. I called her all these things to her face. I mean, it wasn't like I would say anything behind her back, but she really kept in touch with people. I mean, she was there. Like, the only reason that I know about half the shit that's going on in the lives of other people who I truly do care about is because of her, because she kept in touch with them. And, part of the reason why I can't claim to be one of the people that spoke to her in her last couple of days is because she reached out so much that I would take her for granted, and I would not answer calls, and I would wait. I'd do that thing where, like, she'd text me something stupid, something that doesn't really have anything to do with what I'm doing in the moment. Just her trying to connect. She'd send something stupid, and then I'd do that thing where you look at it, but then you're afraid that on their end, they're going to know that you read it and didn't respond. So I would just let it sit there for like 40 minutes. And then I'd respond after 40 minutes, because that's how, in my mind, I think we can break this cycle, because you're just going to try and blow my text up now for the next 20 minutes about something stupid that I don't care about. So if I wait 40 minutes in my mind, I get credit for responding, but also we may not be in this conversation now because it's 40 minutes later. Who knows what you're doing now? I felt real guilty about that. I felt real guilty about all of that stuff. You look back on that stuff when somebody passes suddenly and you're like, yeah, fuck. Why did I let her go to voicemail? And then she doesn't leave voicemail. So I don't even have, well, maybe she does for other people. She never did for me. She just hangs up. So I don't even have the voice there. But it's a good thing that I do have copious amounts of recordings and other things. So me hearing her voice is not dependent on having a voicemail. But I'm going to try and do that. I'm going to try and do more of the way she did these things. I'm going to try. It doesn't matter. I guess being a pest is fine. She was a pest. She was the best pest you could ever have. She was just always bugging you with something. And I can't believe I took that for granted. And anyway, that's what I was thinking about last night. I was thinking about how I really need to be less of a hermit. I need to be more engaged. So thank you once again. This has been Opening Therapy here on the show, where I discuss the inner workings and constant tinkerings of my personal psyche. Hi, Leslie. Leslie's here. Good to see her. Al is here. Peter L is here. Barney checking us out. All right. Let me open up the page. Let's see what we got for today's show. We got a lot of stuff we got to get into, so let's not dilly-dally. What else did I do last night? Oh, yeah. I'm starting to watch something new. I told you I'm looking for distractions. I'm looking for anything that, I can just... Oh, hold on. What's going on here? Hold on. My drive on my phone just takes forever to up. There we go. Here we are. All right. It takes forever to update. Like to refresh. So I'm watching something new. I'm looking for these distractions. And this is a show that I guess has been on Apple TV for a couple of months, but I started watching it on Sunday night. And I don't know. I mean, it's have you guys seen Presumed Innocent with Jake Gyllenhaal on Apple TV? It's the movie. If you remember the Harrison Ford, Greta Sachi, Brian Dennehy movie from like 1990, Presumed Innocent, based on a Scott Turow book about lawyers being accused of killing, I don't know, whatever it is. If you saw the movie, that's fine. But I saw the movie and I liked the movie. It's a good movie. And so now they got this miniseries on Apple TV. It's like a rebooted 8-episode version of Scott Turow's Presumed Innocent. Jake Gyllenhaal is now in the Rusty Savage. That's the character that Harrison Ford played. Jake Gyllenhaal is now in that role. I gotta fix my collar. Why didn't you guys tell me my collar was jacked? I don't know. I'm like 3 or 4 episodes in. The only thing saving it from me right now is that Tulip O'Hare from Preacher. I don't know if you guys ever saw Preacher. Tulip O'Hare. Ruth Negga is her name. Ruth Negga. Tulip O'Hare is playing the wife, and I like her. She's awesome. She's a great actress. So, I mean, that's why I'm hanging in there. But I don't know. Anybody else watching it? I guess I'll probably watch the whole thing. I just Presumed Innocent on Apple. I know that's not a real ringing endorsement, and I also feel a bit guilty about it because I'm not really in a headspace to really embrace a new show. So maybe it's great. I don't know. I'm still watching, so it is something. Al says, I found out I was adopted later on in life and now have 5 brothers and 2 sisters, but I grew up as an only child. Well, damn, Al, that's the only child's dream. That's like the only child. That is the best way to be an only child. Be an only child your entire life growing up. Get all of the spoils of being the only child. And then later on in life, reconnect with some blood brothers and stuff like that. That's good. That's good. Thank you, Frank. Frank pointing out that my collar is jacked. It was. I fixed it. Thanks to Frank. All right, let's do this. How do we enact the show? Well, it's 4 different segments. And the first segment is basically just a look back at history. We call it This Day in History, or we call it Antecedently on This Day. So let's get started with today's show. It is the Rant for the 20th day of August, year of our Lord, 2024. Did you know that August 20th is the 233rd day of the year? 230. No, it's 233. That was my bad. 233. There's 233, and there's 133 left. There you go. That's how it works. 233 passed, 133 left to go. That is, of course, 266. We know there are 265 days, but it's a leap year, so that's what we're doing. All right, let's get into Antecedently on This Day. This is the very first part, the first segment, the first of 4 before we call this a day. Antecedently on this day, or as I like to say, previously on August the 20th. Antecedently on this day in 1920, the National Football League is organized as the American Professional Football Conference. Where? Why, Canton, Ohio, of course. Home of the Canton Bulldogs. The Canton Bulldogs, they become the Cleveland Browns? Is that what that was? Or would the Canton Bulldogs become something else? Anyway, back in the very early days of football, the Canton Bulldogs were like a really good team. Here's how this all went down. The owner of the Canton Bulldogs was a car dealer, and he had a car dealership there in Canton. And he called around to a whole bunch of other dudes who were running football teams throughout the Midwest and East Coast. And he said, you know what? Why don't we all organize and play in a league? And that, of course, became the National Football League. Tell you the fun fact. Here's the fun fact that I always like to share. The most powerful person, the person that the Canton Bulldog dude needed to have on his side because for some reason, well, because he had played for the New York Yankees and he was a bit of a celebrity and he had a lot of power back then, was a dude by the name of George Halas, Papa Bear Halas. He had a lot of sway in the football world, although the football world wasn't at the professional level yet. Elsewhere, George Halas was kind of the guy. So he needed him there. He needed George Halas and he needed Curly Lambeau. Curly Lambeau was another one. He was not running the Green Bay Packers yet at this point, but I think it was the Racine something. I don't know, whatever. My NFL football, I love it. I love the history of it. So I'm going to tell you the story. So the owner of the Canton Bulldogs has George Halas come on down. And George Halas was on the same train as the owner of another guy from Chicago who ran a team. And I think what was this guy's name? It's not the Bidwells. It's not them. It was somebody else. Maybe it was a Bidwell. I don't know. Anyway, it was the Cardinals, the Chicago Cardinals. So George Halas and the owner of the Chicago Cardinals are on the train together, and they're going down. And the rumor has it that they were playing a game of cards, and George Halas lost. And apparently there was some ego bet involved. So this is the story. Here is why the Arizona Cardinals are officially considered the oldest team in the NFL. Because when they got to this car dealership in Canton, and all the individual team owners and representatives got together, they decided to create a charter. Now, the very first person that was given basically wrote out the charter and all that was George Halas. He was holding the pen. So when George Halas said, all right, this is it, everybody's got to sign, you would think that George Halas would sign first and it would be the Chicago Bears. But no, they're not the oldest team in the league. Instead, he handed the pen over to his crosstown rival, a guy that apparently he was paying off a bet on. I don't know. Those details are sketchy. And that was the owner of the Chicago Cardinals. So the Cardinals signed the charter first, making the Arizona Cardinals, at least that's what they're called today, the oldest team in the NFL. George Halas would sign second. And that's why the Bears are number 2. But anyway, there you have it. On this day in 1920, the National Football League is organized and formed. On this day, antecedently in 1938, Lou Gehrig hits his 23rd Grand Slam. That's a record that stood for 75 years. Who broke the Grand Slam in a career record? I did not know this, and I did not think that this was the guy. But holy cow, this is kind of a cool record to have. This dude's probably got a bunch of other records too, but this one is really cool. Lou Gehrig was Major League Baseball's all-time Grand Slam leader. For those of you who don't know, a Grand Slam is a home run hit when the bases are loaded. It's worth 4. It's very good. Lou Gehrig for 75 years was the all-time Grand Slam leader, passed by Alex Rodriguez. A-Rod. What? 1938, Lou Gehrig hits his 23rd career Grand Slam, a record that stood for 75 years until it was broken by Alex Rodriguez. That dude's weird. Alex Rodriguez is weird. You ever see him? Like, wears makeup and stuff. Doesn't he sell makeup? Isn't that a thing? Isn't that an Alex Rodriguez thing? He's like selling makeup. I don't know, maybe not. I think he is. I know he wears makeup. I've seen him on TV wearing makeup, him and JD Vance. I don't like it. I don't even like girls who wear a lot of makeup. If you ain't pretty enough, stop trying to trick us. That's what I say. Antecedently on this day in 1986 in Edmond, Oklahoma, U.S. Postal employee Patrick Sherrill guns down 14 of his co-workers and then commits suicide. You remember this? Remember back in the carefree 80s when the only time you had workplace violence was in a post office? Hell, we didn't even call it workplace violence. We didn't even call it a work shooter or a school. We called it going postal. Going postal. He went postal because we thought it was only post office dudes who did this. Well, it's on this day in 86, a big one, going postal. On this day antecedently in the year 2020, Joe Biden gives his acceptance speech virtually at the COVID ransacked DNC of 2020. Who cares? Don't even remember that one. It was the COVID one. Yeah, I don't remember the COVID one. I don't remember a lot from COVID. You know what I remember? You know what my takeaway from COVID is? Tiger King. That's it. All right, quarter two, let's keep it moving. Antecedently on this day is in the books. How about birthdays? They say it's their birthday. And I don't know if it is or not. I haven't spoken to their mothers. Born on this day, supposedly, in the year 1931, Don King. The Black Donald Trump. That's what he is. 2 peas in a pod, these guys. Don King, American boxing promoter, just an obvious con, man. Just if you don't see it, I don't know what you're looking at. And I wish you well in life. Don King, born on this day in 1931. Born on this day in 1942. How about one of the big stars to come out of the great Stax Records there down in Memphis? Also, you know, a guy who was so incredibly influential for about 5 or 6 years, and then for like 20 years after, as an influence on people who came after. The guy is an icon. And it seems to me that there's an entire generation, mainly millennials, who only know him as Chef from South Park. Isaac Hayes, the great Isaac Hayes, born on this day in 1942. One of the great musical geniuses of R&B, soul, Stax Records, Isaac Hayes. Also born on this day, another genius, another vocal genius. Actually, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's programming. I'm not a massive fan of this band. You know, if the music comes on, they've been ubiquitous in my life. The music comes on, I'm like, yeah, man, it's a good song. But it's not like I never wanted to, like, I need to see them live. So I don't know. And when I think about it, this dude, they're like, he's got the best voice. I'm like, is it? Is it though? Or is it just high? I've got a really high voice, but I don't know if it's the best voice. Happy birthday, Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin. Honestly, everything that I like about Led Zeppelin has more to do with Jimmy Page and Bonzo. It has more to do with like the boom, boom, like the drums and that guitar riff, plural. Anyway, happy birthday, Robert Plant. I'll tell you this about Robert Plant. I'll tell you this, objectively speaking. I've seen him in the last few years doing interviews and stuff like that. He seems awesome. He seems like a really cool guy. He does. Like, you want to imagine Robert Plant as being like, you know, one of these prima donna, cloaked in velvet robes and sitting in a throne in his, like, you know, medieval rehabbed castle in the English countryside. Like, you want to imagine all that nonsense, but that doesn't seem like that's him. He plays video games. I saw an interview with him where he was talking about how he likes to play video games with his grandkids. Fucking Robert Plant. All right. Also born on this day in 1948. Born on this day in 1959. Here's a guy who I think is better than Robert Plant. I think this guy's band is better than Led Zeppelin. And I think this guy is better than Robert Plant. Dead or born on this day. I'm sorry. He died. He died tragically in 1983, 84, somewhere in there. Maybe later. I don't know. Born on this day in 1949. Phil Lynott. Phil Lynott. I know what you're saying, Pugs. You only like Phil Lynott because he's Irish. He is. After U2, the greatest Irish rock band of all time is Thin fucking Lizzy. That band is so good. That band, Thin Lizzy, is another band that I did not allow myself to really listen to until I was about 32, 33 years old, something like that. Because growing up, Thin Lizzy was always like a stupid stoner band. You know, like the dirtbags like that garbage. And then I actually saw Thin Lizzy live, and they blew me away. Certainly not with Phil Lynott, which was, you know, scary. Or sad, I should say. But anyway, Thin Lizzy is good. I like Thin Lizzy. Jailbreak? Come on, man. You telling me that's like one of our Jailbreak from Thin Lizzy is one of my 15-year-old son and mine go-to jet ski songs. Jailbreak. Phil Lynott, born on this day in 1949. Same birthday as Robert Plant. Look at that. Yeah, I do. I think Thin Lizzy's better. Thin Lizzy's better than Zeppelin. Maybe at some point I'll jump into Zeppelin. Maybe at some point I'll be like, you know, I should pay attention to this band. They've been everywhere my whole life. I've never really done a deep dive. Maybe I should. We'll see. Let's see here. Born on this day in 1956. I'm hot for this chick. I am sorry to say it. I am definitely not hot. Cause see, I don't like lust and like I don't want to like hot suggests that like, I want to have sex with them, which I don't. That's not well, I mean, I would totally, don't get me wrong, but it's not like the driving force of my attraction to them. Born on this day in 1956, great American actress. I would say probably one of the most underrated actresses of her generation. Born on this day in 1956, Joan Allen. Joan Allen. Oh my God. She's so cool. She's so stoic and cold. You know how I like them bitches? I like the first of all, she's tall, thin, and blonde. And her entire life, people have probably been like, you're really pretty, you're really pretty. But then she got to Hollywood and she was just kind of, we're going to cast you to play the hot middle-aged wife. How's that? You know what I mean? She never really got to be the ingenue, but she's got this like classy stoicism to her, a sophisticated bitchiness. Joan Allen. Best movie? What's that movie? What is my favorite movie with her? Well, The Contender was great, where she plays the first potential female president of the United States. The Contender, that's good. But what's the one that I love with Kevin Costner? There's a movie with Kevin Costner where they live next door to each other and they're both alcoholics together. And her husband has run off. I can tell you what happens, but I don't want to spoil the movie for you because it's got a crazy M. Night Shyamalan ding dong ending in that movie. But The Upside of Anger, that's what it is. The Upside of Anger. It's awesome. That's my favorite Joan Allen movie. She plays a middle-aged woman. She's mother of like 3 kids. And her husband runs off and leaves her. And she just becomes an alcoholic housewife who just hangs out in the house all day in a bathrobe getting bombed by noon. And she lives next door to Kevin Costner, who plays a retired former Detroit Tigers baseball player who also doesn't have anything to do with his life. So all he does is sit around and drink. It's a good movie, The Upside of Anger. It's really good. Joan Allen, born on this day in 1956. I'm a big fan. Born on this day in 1970, Fred Durst. Not so much a big fan of Fred Durst. Was never a fan of his band. I always thought his band sort of pandered to the worst instincts of the absolute loudest and dumbest among us. And at that point, it was everybody that was in the bar with me. If you were loud and dumb in the bar with me in 1997, you were into Limp Bizkit. You were. Fred Durst, born on this day in 1970. Born on this day in 1974. How about Amy Adams? Isn't she delightful? Doesn't do nothing for me. You know why? Because unlike Joan Allen, she's kind of nice and sweet and all that, and she's good. Like I want her to be my assistant. You know, I want Amy Adams to be my Sybil. I don't want to go home and start a family with her. She's too up. I'm a depressed individual. I need stoicism and coldness. You know why I need stoicism and coldness? And I'm going to tell you why I am so. I'll tell you where my thing comes from. I'll tell you where because I've been saying this a lot. I like cold, not mean, but I like girls who are tired of guys hitting on them. So they have this like cold demeanor thing. I like that. Here's why. I don't have a lot in my bag as far as my game goes, or as far as it used to go. Don't have a lot in my bag. Here's what I had. Sense of humor. I could make girls laugh. And if you could make a bitchy girl who's ignoring you or trying to ignore everyone because she's classifying you with everyone, if you can make them laugh or make them smile, oh my God. I'm not saying that you're in, but I'm saying that's an accomplishment. You're like, oh my God, I just made that bitch smile. I caught her. She smiled. I saw her. She smiled. And then she's laughing. And then look at you. Now she's telling you directly to go leave her alone. But whatever. It's what I like. It's how I'm driven. Amy Adams, born on this day. 1974. She's too nice. She's too sweet. She's too girl next door. Moving on. Good actress, though. She's a great actress. Whatever happened to her career? I think she turned 50. Yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened to Amy Adams' career. 10 years ago, she was in 2 movies that were nominated for an Academy Award at the very same time. Remember that? She was like Jennifer Lawrence. How old is Jennifer Lawrence? She ain't 50 yet, so she'll be okay. She's got another run in her, Jennifer Lawrence. Amy Adams, I don't know if she's got another run in her. When did all her big movies come out, Amy Adams? Like when she was like between 38 and say 43. I think that's it. That's the sweet spot if you're a good actress. And then they forget about you because even though she's still beautiful and doesn't look like, somebody you'd want to throw in the scrap heap of the world, she's 50 and an actress. So the world is filled with incoming Sydney Sweeneys and Zendayas. You think there's room for a 50-year-old Amy Adams? No, there just isn't. Born on this day in 1974. Born on this day in 1983. How about Andrew Garfield? Andrew Garfield. Speaking of Zendaya, isn't he with... No, it's the other one that's with Zendaya. I don't know, man. How many Spider-Men do we need? Andrew Garfield is a Spider-Man. That's all I know about him. Here's the other thing I know. My kid, he's 15. He likes him a lot. Don't know if he likes him for anything other than Spider-Man, but my kid seems to think Andrew... Man, I don't want to say this. Maybe I'm wrong. Who's the current Spider-Man? Who is the current Spider-Man? I mean, it ain't Tobey Maguire. It ain't Andrew Garfield. It's somebody else. It's the dude who's dating Zendaya. Or is that Andrew Garfield? I don't know. Whatever. Happy birthday, Andrew Garfield. Born on this day in 1983. Born on this day in 1992. Demi Lovato. What's her deal? She's like manic depressive girl singer, but she's also like Disney pop princess. So it's all pop stuff, but she couldn't balance the like, I'm a Pop-Tart with like her reality, which was really dark and sad. And so she then became like a 12-year-old addict or something. She's got a dark story, man. Demi Lovato has a dark story. What's that song? She's got some song though that I think is really good. Like she performed it on Saturday Night Live. And I was like, but man, she's good. I don't know, whatever it is. Demi Lovato. Happy birthday to her. I wish I knew more about her. I don't. You know why? Because she was famous when she was like 15, and I'm not a pedophile. So let's do the deads. These are the people who have died. Here we go. People who have died on this day. Shout out to Jim Carroll. Dead on this day in 2007, Leona Helmsley. She's going to hell. Why? Programming. That's right. Sometimes I do subscribe to programming that we're all subjected to. Leona Helmsley was somebody, she was a rich woman in New York who was really mean to the people who worked at her hotel. That's all I know about her. She was mean, and she looked mean. And that's part of the reason why programming set in, and I'm putting her in hell now. I don't know what she did. I don't know what the details are. I couldn't compare her crimes, which weren't even crimes, right? They were just like, I'm rich and I'm a bitch. And I look like this. And then, Inside Edition is putting her all over American TV for like 2 years, and people are like, Leona Helmsley's the worst. I don't know if she's the worst, but we're putting her in hell. Why? Programming. She's probably got a Wikipedia page. She probably go read about what she did. I don't know. She was mean to people, right? Wasn't that her thing? Maybe she cheated on her taxes, whatever. But I'm telling you, man, she was so mean looking. She was so awful looking that when you would report the stories on the news, you'd see the stories of like what she's being accused of by her workers and all this kind of stuff. You'd see these stories, and then they'd put her picture up, and you're like, I can totally see that monstrous woman. She had like bad 1980s plastic surgery. So, she was all like super tight, and she wore like bright red lipstick and black hair, whatever. She's in hell. Let's move on. Leona Helmsley, dead on this day in 2007. Dead on this day in 2012, Phyllis Diller. We're putting her in heaven. We're going to put Phyllis Diller in heaven. I don't know why. I don't really have a Phyllis Diller take, but my grandpa loved her. I remember watching The Tonight Show. Phyllis Diller comes out, and she's like, she used to smoke this like long cigarette in a cigarette holder, and she always had these like feather boas and all this crazy stuff. And I remember she came out and she just started talking some shit. I was like 8. I didn't know what she was talking about, but my grandpa loved her. So she's going to heaven. There you go. Dead on this day in 2012. Dead on this day, another icon of American comedy past. How about Jerry Lewis passing away on this day in 2017? Hey, lady. I'm like the only guy of my era that doesn't do a Jerry Lewis imitation. Jerry Lewis was a auteur. At least that's what the French describe him as. Jerry Lewis. Let me tell you. Okay, you know what? Can we get real on Jerry Lewis? The dude really was a genius. The dude was absolutely a genius. Unfortunately, the proof that he left behind on celluloid film is him being just a jackass. Like, all of his movies, he played a jackass. He played a ridiculous, stupid nincompoop who fell down and wreaked havoc in every room that he was, and blah, 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 and he talked funny, and he mugged to the camera, and all of that stuff. So when you look at Jerry Lewis and you think, who was that guy? On first glance, that's all you get. And you're like, that guy sucked. That ain't true, man. That ain't true at all. He was actually quite brilliant behind the scenes. He was actually quite brilliant with the writing and the directing. And he invented shit. He invented shit for his films, like technology that they use in filming and in directing, like things on tracks and dollies and all this stuff. Jerry Lewis invented shit that is still used today in Hollywood as just standard practices. He's got a really interesting story. And he went to, I don't know that he went to France. He didn't go to France. He was always an American icon. But for some reason, at some point in the 1970s, the French and the very artsy, they kind of took it upon themselves to point out his genius to the rest of the world. And of course, all of us hillbillies in America were like, what you French knows about the sophistications, right? And so we made fun of that. Like the French don't know shit about shit. Well, the French do kind of know a lot of stuff about what's cool. French have been around for a lot longer than we have. And if they say Jerry Lewis is cool, he's cool. He's going to heaven. There you go. We're going to put Jerry Lewis in heaven. I hate this. I hate the American programming of the last 35, 40 years that says that we're supposed to dislike the French. The only people who had our back when we needed somebody big to have our back. And this is how we repay. We repay them with, they're fucking pussies. And again, I always say to people who are like, look what they did in World War II. I always say, you don't know anything about World War II, do you? Because if you think the French are pussies, you need to pick up a book and learn about the resistance, okay? Jesus Christ. Anyway, Jerry Lewis, we're putting him in heaven. He made a really bad movie, though. He made a really bad movie that I've never seen, and I hope that before I die, I can see this unreleased, hidden from civilized society, Jerry Lewis disaster piece. That's the best way I think it's been described. Jerry Lewis, when he was all bonged out on pills and shit and cocaine and drinks, and he went a little nuts between like 1970 and 1976. Pills. They were all taking pills, and guys of his age were like, I could still swing with the youngsters. Anyway, he made a movie called The Day the Clown Died, or The Day the Clown Cried. And this is one of those epic films in America where people, like inside Hollywood people, are like, you've seen The Day the Clown Cried? And they're like, yeah, man, I saw it. I was over at Clint Eastwood's house, and he's got a copy of it, and he took it out after dinner. And anyway, Jerry Lewis made this movie about a clown in a Nazi concentration camp that basically lured and tricked the little Jewish kids into the death chambers. That was the movie. That was Jerry Lewis's all pilled out movie. And apparently it is so off tone. Like it is so, like he basically plays it like the way he played the bellhop, if you're familiar with the Jerry Lewis movie, The Bellhop. So it's just very dark and weird. And he made the movie, and the movie company went, no one will ever see this movie. What is this? What has Ed got? Of course, because Ed's got everything cool. I didn't know this. Why would I not know this? I know, like, Ed's one of my closest friends. Why would I not know this? Ed says, have a copy of the shooting script of The Day the Clown Cried if you'd like to read it. I don't look. Here's the thing about, I think that's awesome. That is so cool. And I would kind of like to read it, but I need to see him. I need to see what he did, because I'm certain that the script is semi-fine, because a movie company got behind it at some point. So the script has got to read like, okay, well, I'm sure he's going to do something. The script's got to be okay. But apparently the movie itself is just so unbelievably in bad taste. And by the way, it's part of Jerry Lewis himself. Once he sobered up or whatever, he was like, yeah, we can't release that. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking over there in Prague for 6 months. Jeff Ballard says that, what's this, Jeff? What's this? It's The Day the Clown Died, Jerry Lewis's movie. They're set to actually release it soon. Let's see if there's anything about it. I wonder if there's anything about it on YouTube. Let me see something. This is what YouTube is great for. They have everything. Like, wouldn't it be cool if there was a trailer? Like somebody made a trailer. Are there stills? Okay, what is this? This is a short excerpt of. This is real. It looks real. But if this is okay, we'll see what this is. Jerry Lewis's disaster piece. The day the clown cried, died, whatever. It doesn't matter. Here we go. Let's see what this is. All right. Let's see. There's no sound. Oh, stills from it. I don't know what we're looking at here, and there's no sound. So anyway, happy Death Day, Jerry Lewis. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna put you in. We're gonna put you in heaven, just because I don't know, man. You did a lot for them kids. You know, Jerry Lewis. Let's not take that away from him. He did a lot. He raised a lot of money for sick kids. He made, even if it was just like, you know, they had one better day. He did that for a whole bunch of people. Those Jerry Lewis telethons were the absolute best. All right, Jerry Lewis, there you go. We're putting him in heaven too. Okay, that's going to do it. That's everybody. That's the first 3 quarters of today's show. Now we're going to get into the current events, and we're going to talk about all the things that happened yesterday. But first, I would like to remind you once again that if you'd like to help out Kelly and her family, they do have a GoFundMe that has been set up for the kids. Please go to pugsandkellyshow.com, pugsandkellyshow.com, or you can check them out, gofundme.com, in loving memory of Kelly Moore. I'm going to leave that up there now. Let me check out some of these chats here before I move on to the actual breaking news of today. There you go. There you go. Barney knows his history. That's, yeah. Learn about the gas pits. Learn about the mustard fights. Learn about the trench warfare. Learn about the Sorbonne. No, wait, the Sorbonne is the college. Wait, the Argonne. Proud of you, Barney. Barney knows his history. Although that, you know, they are effete. If we can be honest about the French, they are a little effete. I mean, they coined the phrase, they coined the word, but not all of them. There's. It's not like, yeah. I guess they could say there's some people in America who are pretty effete. I don't know. Whatever. All I'm saying is, man, we don't respect. We need to really think. We need to remember who had our back when absolutely nobody did. Now, granted, we were going to war with France's biggest enemy, so that it was in their advantage. But still, the French welcomed Jefferson and Franklin into their courts at a time when no other world power was recognizing these vagabond representatives from this hobo country. The French did that for us, man. That means something. It gave us such credibility. It is why the Dutch banks loaned us money. Come on! It was basically they co-signed for us. It was like our first car. We're like, well, we don't have any way to get to our new job. And France came along and we'll co-sign for you. I don't know. I mean, they're not perfect. But it's just, it's like freedom fries. I hate that thing. They're not our enemy. They are not our enemy. Their food sucks. French food sucks. Tired of playing that game, that programming game. People who've never had French food. Oh, the French food is magnificent. Have you ever had French food? It's small, it's expensive, it's rich, and it's not really that great. Give me a bucket of buffalo wings any day over a bunch of snails. Get the fuck out of here with that garbage. French cooking. Is this it? They give you a plate and there's like one pea on it with like a weird drizzle over it. And they're like, this is your first course? Fuck you. Give me a Big Mac. American invented the Big Mac. All right. Let's move on to the actual stories of the day. What do you say? We can do that. Okay, let's talk about the DNC. The Democratic National Convention kicked off yesterday in Chicago. Night one featured, I don't know, just a whole bunch of stuff. Who do we get? Let me riff through some thoughts on night one. All right, first of all, let's start with before the proceedings actually kicked off, or around the time that it did. I was more interested last night in watching the protests, the promised riots, and all of that mayhem that was going to be unfolding right there in the streets of my hometown. That's what I was interested in. So I had about 3 or 4 different live streams going on YouTube. I had the Reuters feed, I had the AP feed, and I'm just watching, the streets and all that kind of stuff. And very early on, something exciting happened. About 6:15 last evening. Now, there is if you're familiar with the United Center, which nobody's familiar with that neighborhood except for people in Chicago. So anyway, across the street from the United Center, they seem to have people penned away pretty good from the actual United Center. There is a perimeter inside there where it seems, they got fencing and all this stuff. So for a brief period of time last night, around 6:15, they had taken down a fence. These protesters, I don't know what they're mad about. Well, actually, I do. These particular people were upset about the Palestinian stuff, whatever. Palestinian war, it's that whole thing again. So they knocked down the fence, and oh my God, did the Twitter sphere and the Facebook pages go nuts. They're rioting. They knocked down a fence. Here it starts. All of this stuff. And I'm watching them like, yeah, here we go. It's kicking off. And then they all moved back and the police put the fence back up. So that was pretty much it. 4 arrests on night 1. Now I know what you're thinking. You're like, Pugs, it's only night 1. No, you're right. It is. We're going to have to white knuckle our way here through the last couple of nights. But last night was fine. Nothing happened. Everything's fine. Looks to me like the city of Chicago has that fucking place all battened up. They got, I was looking at pictures online. They're using all of our snow plows to block off ramps. So if you live and work in Chicago, like, millions of people do, and you're going to work every day, it's pretty inconvenient right now, especially if you're taking the Eisenhower. Like if you're coming in on the Eisenhower, all those exits are all jacked up. And anyway, no big notable protests going on outside yesterday. And quite frankly, everybody dispersed by like 9-10 o'clock. As soon as it got dark, everybody went home. But that is not to say that there won't be more today. I think there's more going on right now. So we'll just see. As I said, we're white knuckling it. 1 down. Made 1 down. There were 4 arrests. 2 of them I actually saw happen on live stream. So the feared mayhem for night 1 at least did not occur. Now I am seeing a lot of people. I was looking at a lot of these commenters, and if I'm being fair, they're mostly all MAGA commenters. These are all from the pro-Trump thing. But people are saying things like, we didn't have any protests in Milwaukee. This is the difference between the DNC and the RNC. And I'm like, yeah, you didn't have any protests in Milwaukee because you're not the party that's in power. You see, you understand the conventions are always different. The convention, the party that is challenging the incumbent party typically doesn't have all of this kind of stuff. See, the protesters are there because these people at the DNC, they're the ones perceived, at least for the past 4 years, to be responsible and still responsible for all those things. So that is just a logical explanation as to why there are protests here and not in Milwaukee. Milwaukee was just, that was, if we're being honest, and at the time, we probably thought it was a really good thing. But as it turns out, no, there was no energy coming out of that. It was a coronation. And this is as well, but although last night was a bit more of a salutation to Biden. Thugs Joe. You saw that everywhere. Thugs Joe. He's out there, he's crying. I tweeted last night, they made him wait so long. I was like, dude died backstage and they just don't know how to tell us. And so they're just like going to pull out another congressman to talk for 20 minutes about what a great man he is. By the time he did come out, look, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Biden when he takes the stage. Is he meandering? He looked like he was on a cord last night. He walked straight to it, did a couple of waves. He looked fine. But then if I'm being honest, 45 seconds in, he's not a great speaker. And I hate listening to him because he's boring. And I just stopped paying attention. Started just playing on Twitter. If you noticed last night during Biden's speech, I must have posted 20 tweets about all kinds of stupid stuff having nothing to do with his speech because it was just whatever. Okay, we got that out of the way. The old man's gone. This is the new party, and they force fed us with all of these new new cast members. It is. It's like, the new season of Saturday Night Live. Last night was like, all right, the old people are gone, and now we're going to show you all these new people. And then they give us Hillary. What is she doing there? We don't need her. The American people do not need Hillary back. I thought you freaking Democrats put her in mothballs. Had AOC. She was out there. Didn't listen to her either because she yells. I'm like, nope. She looked hot, though. Who else did they have last night? Who else talked last night? Jill Biden? Again, not really paying attention to that. Jason Isbell crushed. That was an amazing musical performance. If you call yourself a patriot and you didn't tear up with that dude in the tuxedo with the guitar singing a country song about loving America, that was amazing. At the end of that, I'm like, so these fucking libs are taking patriotism back. It was cool. It was cool. It was cool. And here's the other thing that bugged me about Jason Isbell. I'm a big Jason Isbell fan. I think he's a great songwriter. He's so awesome with lyrics. Anyway, point is this. Why can't people say his name right? All of the people that I was watching, I think I was jumping around between News Nation and CNN, and all of the people, they kept calling him Jason Isbell. Jason Isbell is coming out. Jason, I'm a big Jason Isbell. It's Jason Isbell, okay? It's not Isabel. Barney, Mr. Far-Right MAGA, is checking in with this shocking point. He says AOC is not a good speaker. You're blowing my mind with your takes, Barney. I had no idea. She's fine. She's fine. She's energetic. She's passionate. I think she says some things that are a little bit rubish. Like she doesn't really seem to know how regular people live and work and think, but okay. But I don't think she's a bad speaker, Barney. Go ahead, Barney. Say something nice about her that doesn't involve you holding her down and forcing her to have sex. Because that's like the only thing guys on the right can say about AOC. I do her. I totally do her, but that's it. No, man, I don't know what to make of her. She's not a congressman that represents my district or any of my values or anything like that. But if you're sleeping on her and if you are thinking that she's just going to go away, you're wrong because she's like 28. She's going to be fucking around forever. She's going to rise up. If they win, if they win, she's going to have a very prominent position in this because the whole thing about this Kamala Harris and Biden leaving and Nancy Pelosi stepping down it's all about the new breed. It's all about the Hakeem Jeffries. It's all about that's it. I'm out. I can't name any more. I'm not a Democrat. I don't know who these people are, but it's about those people. It's about the new breed. And last night was, for the most part, without Biden and Hillary, it was pretty much about introducing those people to the audience, to the national audience. Whatever. All right, Byron, how about you, Byron? Don't you want to check in? Barney says she trips herself up and flaps about like a wacky inflatable tube guy at a used car lot. Does she do that, Barney? And is that a big problem for you, Barney? Barney, is that something in political candidates that you like? Is that something that's important to you, that they stay on topic, don't fucking ramble, and don't... Come on, Barney. What is wrong with you? You're being silly. So your problem with AOC is that she speaks poorly. And who you supporting? Come on, man. I mean, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care if everybody wasn't so hypocritical about what bothers them. Oh, that bugs me. None of these fuckers can speak. I haven't heard any of these guys speak. That I went, now that is a Barack Obama. That motherfucker could give a speech. He was good. Reagan, that fucker. He could hold an entire audience in his hand. That dude knew how to speak. Kennedy could speak. No, none of these people can speak. All of these people are too. They're protecting whatever it is they really feel. None of them are being authentic. So it comes across as you have to be a really practiced manipulator of people to be truly authentic and come across as being authentic in a political setting. And that's why it's hard. So all of these people seem a little bit, but don't be complaining about, ALC can't speak, and then you're like voting Trump. I'm like, what? What? You being silly. That's just silly, man. Biden can't speak either, but at least Biden claims it's because he's got just a stutter. That's his thing. I'm a kid, blame it all on a stutter. And you're 90 and stutter. You haven't had a stutter in 60 years, bro. You can't blame this. You're 90. You're you're not as sharp as you once were. Let's see here. Let's see what Barney's other in-depth political analysis leads us to. Obama's tooth whistle. Listen, have never in my life heard of Obama's tooth whistle. Then again, I don't frequent right-wing chat rooms, so I probably wouldn't have heard that particular tooth whistle. I love it. I love it. All right, anyway, the DNC, we got 4 weeks of these clowns running around in Chicago. And by the way, did you see any of the video of these fucking protesters? I don't have a problem with protesters. I've been in a number of protests. My mom was a big old dumb hippie. Well, she wasn't a dumb hippie, but a lot of hippies were dumb. She wasn't. So I don't have a problem. One of the first things that I ever did with my son when he was in a stroller was I took him, we were living in downtown Dallas, and we look out the window and there's like 10,000 people marching for like legalized weed. And I'm like, I got this little kid. I'm like, we gotta go for a walk anyway. I'm like, let's go march. Let's go protest. My kid was like, a year and a half, and he's already in a protest. He didn't know. I don't know if he's for it or against it, but anyway, he was there. So I like protests. I think protests are amazing. Take the right to protest away and see where this country goes. Protests are effective. They change the court of public opinion on very important issues. They put pressure on fuckers who are trying to pull fast ones on us. That's what protests do. They hold people accountable. So I'm for protests, but you know what I'm not for? A bunch of weirdos standing in the street, and as cops walk by, they lean into their face and call them pigs and fuck you and doing this to their faces, and the cops just have to stoically walk on by. These people are attempting to start violence. These people are challenging and taunting these cops in the hopes that the cops lose their cool and then something bigger happens. These people, and we've got endless video clips, these people are responsible for instigating anything that occurs here in the next 4 days. These people, not that we didn't know that for sure, but we have this video from last night of this idiot wearing a mask. They're wearing a mask. They're wearing a mask, just leaning into. Now, they're not wearing a mask. That's the other thing. They're not wearing a mask because, they believe in the COVID thing, although they probably fucking do. And they're probably these mask fetishists, which, by the way, I get so angry when I see these mask fetishists at the Kroger or the Target or wherever the hell I am. Not angry enough that I'm going to say anything, but I do roll my eyes and go, what is going on here? And then I'm reminded, maybe they have a really bad immune system and they have to be extra careful. And then I feel bad. But make no mistake, these protesters are not wearing masks so that they can, save society from the next pandemic. These fuckers are wearing masks so that their faces can't be seen. That's what they're doing. They're cowards, and they're trying to incite cops into doing some bad shit. And let me tell you, as somebody who has a very, very long history with the Chicago Police Department, maybe on the, on the other side of it, don't fuck with these people. These people, yes, while the cameras are rolling in the street, this is a city that used to take people to certain parts of town and hand them off to other cops who could get away with beating the fuck out of hoodlums. That was a real thing in Chicago, where like white cops would arrest an African-American kid and then deliver them to an African-American precinct so that the African-American cops could kick the fuck out of them. It's just, that was what they did. So look, these cops, man, I'm telling you, one of these dudes loses his shit, and then this whole crowd of protesters are like, and then they use that to start throwing crap. Didn't happen last night, but I'm telling you, God bless these Chicago cops who are just like walking. They're just working. It's just a Monday night. They're just cops, man. They're like your neighbors. Some of them are bad, some of them are evil. Sure, there are bad cops everywhere. You know what else there are? There are bad dentists. There are bad people. Not every rando cop that walks by you deserves to be screamed at and called a pig or whatever. These people are instigating, and it's not even up for debate. It's the policies. How dare you? It's like, oh, yeah, this cop, this 28-year-old Chicago cop, the Chicago bicycle cop, is responsible for our foreign policy as it pertains to Israel and Palestine. Yes, this is the cop. This is the guy that you need to. It's so stupid, and it's performative, and it's young people who are just so desperate for some kind of attention because they feel completely anonymous in this world. That's why young people do this. Tired of being marginalized and sidelines by grown-ups, so they turn these things into huge, I'm just trying to be heard. Shut up, stupid. Sit down. You want to protest? You protest. You want to disrupt traffic? Whatever. But he's screaming in cops' faces, hoping that one of them loses their shit and cleans your clock? That doesn't sound like a great plan. Because I'm telling you, if something does happen, we've all seen who is instigating. There you go. I'm done. That's it. That's all I got. What else about last night? Oh, I told you guys this a couple of weeks ago. I told everybody a couple of weeks ago. And now let me play strategist. Let me play MAGA strategist. Let me tell you what you guys got to do. And I floated this a couple of weeks ago. The whole thing with stress. See, the Democrats, they just needed new. The Democrats need to win by offering people who just fucking hate Trump, like me, something. Anything that isn't him. That's it. That's the whole Democratic thing. And they're like, they seem to have gotten that. Trump's whole thing is to just keep people angry, to keep people mad, right? To keep people stirred up, to keep people feeling like this isn't normal. This isn't normal. So a couple of weeks ago, I tweeted a picture of, who's this chick? Ella Emhoff, who is Doug Emhoff's biological daughter. She is the stepdaughter of Kamala Harris. She seems lovely. No, she doesn't. She seems, look, I see her and I go, oh, I know exactly what she is. She is a super privileged New York art scene fucker. That's exactly who she is. She's an awful, awful person to have a cup of coffee with. She is so pretentious, and I can just see that because I'm good at judging people. And that's what she is. She lives in a brownstone in Brooklyn, and she does her art, and she works for, it's all this stuff. Anyway, I said weeks ago, oh my God, MAGA, you're going to have some fresh meat to chew on. And then I put up a picture of Kamala Harris's stepdaughter, who is a curious bird, if you will, an odd duck, really. She's very progressive. She's very, as I said, she's a New York City, Brooklyn art scene person. She's got tattoos, all the bad tattoos too. Not like cool ones, but like bad, stupid ones that look almost like, well, I was raised by a super wealthy Hollywood lawyer and my stepmother is running for president of the United States, but I've got jail tats. That's like her whole vibe. Probably smokes clove cigarettes. Gross. She's like, what do I call you, boy or girl? Well, I choose. She's one of those fucking irritating people. MAGA's got to embrace her. I said it 3 weeks ago. I said, you guys got to go hard on this because this is exactly what speaks to your audience. You need to keep your audience ginned up and hateful of people who are weird, which is odd because kind of weird themselves. But the point is, she is a very avant-garde young lady, and the country is going to have a field day with her. She's making some very bold choices with the way she carries herself. And now she is so close. She is in the national spotlight. And I'm telling you, MAGA needs to define the difference between those kinds of people and them kinds of people. And I'm telling you, they want to show her. They want to start spotlighting her. And it's not, leave the kids out of it. She's a grown-ass woman. She's a grown-ass woman. She's going to give interviews. She's going to say plenty of fucked up shit that is going to make people on the Trump side go, this is what it is. But I would also remind you, it's a stepdaughter. I don't know what cabinet position the stepdaughter of a president has. I don't think there's one, but maybe there will be. Secretary of Eccentricity. I've announced a new cabinet position. I'm appointing my stepdaughter, Ella, as the Secretary of Eccentricity. She will keep America fucking weird. Anyway. Let's see what Adam is saying. Adam's saying, I hate women. I don't hate women. I love women. I hate weird women. I hate weird people. I don't think it has anything to do. And by the way, once again, I would like to remind you, Adam, that whole thing you just heard, I told you I was playing strategist for MAGA. That's what they should do. That is what MAGA should do. I have played strategist for Kamala a lot. Sorry if you don't like the role play, but that's what they need to do. They need to exploit that she's odd. They need to exploit that she's a girl with tattoos and bad hair who doesn't care about being hot. That is a cardinal sin to the women of MAGA. Not trying to be as hot as you possibly can at every single moment so that some dude will want to fuck you and take care of you is kind of the entire mindset of MAGA. It's why every MAGA female media person looks like she's going to a fucking ball. They're doing the news at 6 o'clock in the morning in a ball gown with their hair all day. It's so fucking manipulative. That's what they like. They like fake tits, big giant blonde hair, and then, liposuction and lips and all of that. That's what MAGA likes. So if you want to show a representation of what the other side is, I'm telling you, Ella Emhoff is walking right into it. She's made herself available. There you go. That's my strategy for the MAGA. There you go, MAGA. I hope you appreciate that strategy. Here's the other thing about her too. She's gonna do it on her own. I don't think they want her talking, but I've already read some things that she has said. And I'm like, oh, I know she's just a stepdaughter and it has absolutely nothing to do with Kamala Harris, but this is gonna play huge for stupid people. Stupid people are gonna be so into this knowledge of what Ella Emhoff said when she was a second-year student at NYU back in 2019 about Israelis or whatever. I don't know what her points would be. What else did we have last night? Oh, here's the baller move of the night. This is the absolute baller move of the night. One, Kamala showing up. Kamala doing the Bob Hope on the Tonight Show from 1979. For those of you who don't get the reference, Bob Hope, for some reason, used to be able to just walk on the Tonight Show. Like, just come out, just in the middle, Johnny's interviewing somebody else who's maybe never been on the Tonight Show, and it's their biggest moment in their life, and they're sitting there talking to Johnny, and right in the middle of something they're saying, all of a sudden the band goes, ba, 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 da, ba, and all of a sudden Bob Hope walks out. How you doing? I'm going to take this kid's lunch. Bob Hope used to do that all the time. Kamala did that last night. It's supposed to be Biden's big night. Kamala was supposed to be sitting back. Nope. She walks out. She's like, I'm going on stage unannounced to let everybody know that I'm here. And I'm wearing a motherfucking tan suit. That was by design. That is something that the Dems should be very excited about. And they were on Twitter. Dems were very excited about her wearing a tan suit. Why? Because, of course, famously, it just shows there is no bottom with the criticisms that people will the right will. It comes back to Obama wore a tan suit once, and everybody said he's so unpresidential. That a man who wears a tan suit cannot be president. It was a big deal, and the Dems love it because it is such an obviously small brain sort of observation about really president can't. So the color of the suit determines foreign policy. Okay, we got you. Kamala walks out yesterday in a fucking camel tan suit. That was absolutely on purpose. And I'll tell you something else. If you were a Democrat and you are a little bit concerned about how Kamala is going to stand in the fire of all of this stuff, that ought to tell you she ain't afraid. She's inviting it. She's like, let's go. Look at me, tan suit. Say some shit, fat boy. That's like where that was the attitude of that suit. It's a fight, man. This went from being one of the most uninteresting, I wasn't even paying attention to this election, to now we got a fight. Now we got a thing. I am listening, you guys. Sorry, I should be on camera. I am listening to so much more AM talk radio now. I'm back, baby. I am back with the AM talk radio. There was an arrogance. There was an arrogance and, comfort and all that kind of stuff that I was just not into. There was almost like a cockiness, like they were going to run away with it a couple of weeks ago, and even for like a couple of months, before that, there's no way Trump doesn't win because it was Biden. Now, AM Talk Radio is funny, man. They're talking about like Kamala Harris is a dude, like she's actually a dude. Like, yes, she's actually a Nigerian British citizen that's a real story that I heard yesterday being talked about on American Talk Radio. She's a dude. They're putting that out there. She's a communist. She's a total communist. Everybody's a communist. Trump told us that if Biden was elected 4 years ago, that America would completely be Chinese dependent by this time. And that ain't true. I don't remember Biden selling us all to China the way Trump promised, but they're saying it again because they're just trying to scare you. Nothing changes. Both of these parties are the same. They're all beholden to billionaires. It's not going to change. It's just about rooting interest. It's just about keeping us, again, I say this all the time, political partisanship and all of this nonsense is just designed to keep us divided so that we don't all get together and go, if we just got together, we could fuck all these people up. We could. If I could just be in the same room with a blue-haired he-she, we could probably have a much better life. But we can't because I'm a small-brained human, and the first chance that we get to be divided, we go at each other's throats because that's what we are. That's what we are. We're just a bunch of people who just would rather fight about someone with blue hair and a penis. She shouldn't have a penis. Why are you calling me a she? Fuck you. And then it starts into that whole thing. That's the stuff that keeps us from understanding. That's the stuff that is distracting us. That's the matrix. That's the whole fucking simulation. You people, it's all a simulation. No, the simulation is that you are willingly being manipulated by people who are trying to control your puppet strings. That's it. All right. What do we have tonight at the DNC? We've got Obama. Is that tonight? Obama. I'll watch that. That dude's going to throw down a speech. Speech, brother. Hope he wears a tan suit. How badass would that be? All right. Let's see. Should we do the polls? We don't need to do the polls. You know what? I feel like I've already been really mean to the right, and I don't want to do the polls because they're going to be like, well, why are you talking? They don't talk about this on BAP. They don't mention the polls on BAP. The polls are not good, man. The polls are not good for Trump. And I know that he says, like, didn't he say the other day, he was like, I'm leading on 93% of the polls. Why are we even having an election? Well, one, you're not leading in any polls at the moment. None of the major polls anyway, and the national average is now 4 points, and they haven't even come out of the convention yet. It's going to be 7-8 points nationally by the time this convention bump. So 10 days from Friday. 10 days from Friday, I predict Kamala Harris will have at least a 6 to 7 point national lead coming out of that. Unless, unless something crazy happens. Who knows? Who knows? Don't put it past anybody. All right, fine. We'll show the polls. We'll show the polls because now you're like, oh, no, Pugs is just lying about. No, you know what? Just go to Real Clear Politics. Just go to realclearpolitics.com. Click on the polls. You can see them yourself. That's fine. Go to 538. Although I prefer realclearpolitics.com to 538 simply because the graphs are easier to read at realclearpolitics.com. 538 is way more. It's all Venn diagrams and stuff. But whatever you like, if you follow polls, and I love polls. Polls are accurate. I always go back to, there was this misnarrative, this false narrative that was pushed out by everybody after 2016 that polls aren't accurate. The polls said that Hillary was going to win by 3%. That's what they said. Yeah, and they were right. She did. She did. The polls count, I'll say it again, the polls count popular vote, not electoral college. Hillary Clinton won by almost 3 million votes in 2016. That's what the polls were measuring. They weren't taking into account the electoral college. So stop it with the polls were wrong. They said Hillary would win. No, the polls said that more people were going to vote for Hillary, and the polls were right. But somehow now you can use that, if you're so inclined, to justify bad polls of the moment now. Well, these polls don't look good here in August of 2024, but polls don't matter. Remember 2016? That's the narrative. They're trying to keep you engaged. They don't want you to see what's actually happening. 538.com or realclearpolitics.com. Those are the best polling sites. Those are the only two major polling sites that compile all the polls from all over and give you updates daily on what's happening nationally. You know, I've have this weird sort of perspective where I just recently, within the last 4 years, within the Biden presidency, that's what we're calling it, I've lived in both Illinois, in the Chicagoland area, where I could stand on a street corner and be like, you know, surrounded by millions of people. It's a big area. I could stand on a street corner and I can go, man, there is no way Trump can win. There is nobody, as far as the eye can see, that is going to vote for Donald Trump. White, black, Hispanic. This is just, and then I moved to Texas. And you can do the exact same thing in Texas, just reversed. I can stand on a corner and I can go, I don't know there's anybody here that's going to vote for Harris or Biden. This is all Trump. So it's the bubbles that we live in. And you have to look and see, like, you know, how many different bubbles are there across this country? And then you got to count them up. How many bubbles win? But for people, there are people out there who truly think that there is no fucking way possible Trump can lose without it being fixed, because these people live in, you know, rural Georgia, and everybody that they know is voting for Trump, and they don't have any sort of leap outside of their little bubble. They don't see New York. They don't see Brooklyn. They don't see Los Angeles. They don't see the major people. Those people in those areas can't believe anybody votes for Trump. We are all in our bubbles. The polls are what show us what every bubble is doing individually. You get a better idea of what's really happening, rather than just being like, well, I don't know anybody's going to vote for Biden, so if he wins, it's obviously fixed. Let's talk about the power grid, Texas power grid situation. First of all, let's check out the heat right now. What is the heat? It's so hot, you guys. Oh God, it's only August 20th and it is so hot. 99 degrees at 120 here in North Texas. There were some reports that could go as high as 110 degrees today. Let's see what they're saying now. All right, within the next hour, it's going to clear 100. By 6 o'clock p.m., they are promising it's going to be 104. 104 at 6 o'clock. That looks like the big peak for today. Oh, it's been so hot. It's been so hot, and apparently there was a Freon leak in the air conditioner at the house. So it wasn't getting all of that cold. It was still fine. I mean, it was a little warm. I'm gonna say that it's a little warm. Like, it feels like it should be cooler than this, but then, you know, you're justifying it in your head. You're like, it's 105 outside, and it's been 105 for like a month. So maybe this is about as cool as it's gonna get in here. So the air conditioning guy came out and he like replaced the Freon, and now it's freezing, and it's awesome. Now it's like an ice box. I put the show together today in sweatpants and a hoodie. That's how cold it was. But I'm not complaining, because it's, trust me, it's better than what it was. Hot, hot, hot. So this brings us to our next question. The embattled Texas power grid. Remember this? This was a big right-wing, big liberal, you know, talking point about why Texas is so screwed up because the power grid is awful. And, oh, my God, we got the worst power grid in the world. Got to be honest with you. I've lived here for 3 years now. We've had some pretty extreme weather. My power has held up every time. No, my power has held up every time. Been through some bad stuff. Now, you might say, yeah, but Pugs, you live in a very wealthy area. Yeah, I do. I might factor in. And I know we had some really bad storms a couple of months back, and a whole bunch of people who were hit with the high winds, especially up there in Plano and some of the northwestern suburbs here of Dallas-Fort Worth. They had power that was lost for a while. But again, I was just talking about bubble. Inside my bubble, the grid has been okay. Had no problems. Last year, no, 2 years ago. 2 years ago, it went out briefly, but it came right back on. How about you guys? Have you guys lost power? I mean, that wasn't due to some kind of terrible storm, because when a terrible storm comes by, you got to expect that there's going to be power lines down and there's going to be some interruption and all that kind of stuff. Now, you try and mitigate it the best you can. And so maybe there's an argument that they didn't mitigate it enough. But whatever, a storm comes through, that's going to happen. What I'm concerned about is everybody using their air conditioning at once, and then suddenly it all goes off. So that's the big concern that people who are critics of the Texas power grid are promising us today. It's going to happen. The power grid is going to... And here's what I say. I don't think so. I think, because I don't know anything about Texas power. Here's what I know. I know what all the people have been screaming, right? People on the left, Texas power, it's sold out to billionaires. And while I don't doubt that, the stories that they don't care about us and they're going to let old people die because it's a part of their crazy plan to thin the herd, all that. I'm like, shut up. It's just a bunch of rich guys trying to maximize their margins, okay? That's it. And because they fucked up and because they got called out during that big winter storm in 2021, they're going to make sure that doesn't happen again, hopefully. That's the hope. They let it happen. They got away. My point is this. We're all looking at them. So all of these people who are saying, you're going to see that great Texas power grid that's put together by the Republican Party on display again today. Hope you don't die in your sleep from 110 degrees. That's what you're going to hear. And we'll see. I don't think so, though. I don't think so. I'm pretty impressed with the grid. Admit it, you kind of have too. You've been like, because now, since the 2021 ice storm where everything went to shit, now every time something bad happens, you're like, oh man, if I lose power, is it going to come back on? We do. We actually worry about that. And I'm telling you, I don't think we have to. I think it's going to be fine. All right, here we go. Local story. Let's talk a little bit here about Dallas weed and the Dallas weed situation. We've been following this story for the last couple of weeks. I told you last week about the police. Hold on, where's the story? Give me this damn story. Here we go. The police here in Dallas, they have an issue with a measure that is before the city council that would legalize possession of or decriminalize. Legalized and decriminalized are two different things. So it's decriminalized, which means you can't be rousted and thrown in jail for it. The police were going to, or the city wants to decriminalize 4 ounces of pot or less. Okay. So that means if you have 4 ounces of pot or less, you're golden, baby. The cops can't fuck with you. They're not going to fuck with you. They're not even going to waste their time. 4 ounces of weed. Cops aren't going to fuck with you. So the police chief and the police department, they have a real problem with this. The police department are like, wait, hold up, wait, 4 ounces? 4 ounces. So there's some city council people who are pushing for this 4 ounces. Just so happens these city council people come from the sketchiest fucking drug-infested neighborhoods in this town. So who would benefit from 4 ounces being legal or being decriminalized? Drug dealers, of course. Drug dealers. Drug dealers want 4 ounces. Drug dealers, because 4 ounces is a lot of fucking weed. If you're keeping 4 ounces of weed, that ain't for personal use. You are packaging that and you are selling it. So the Dallas Police Department is saying 4 ounces of weed is absurd. That is an amount that drug dealers use. That is not an amount that someone's going to have in their car. They just get pulled over for like no taillight or something like that. That is not so. I wonder, who are these people who seem to be advocating for a bump up to 4 grams being decriminalized in Dallas? Who are these council people? Let's talk to them. Let's find out, why are you doing 4? Do you know what 4 ounce? Somebody is pushing them. I'm telling you, somebody, drug dealers, whatever. Because the people who are going to benefit from this, not even the dealers on the street. A dealer on a street corner, first of all, do they do that with weed? I don't know if they do that with weed. Maybe they do. So a dealer on the street corner, he's not going to have 4 ounces on him. 4 ounces is back at the stack house. It's the stash house. So it's a very weird thing. And the Dallas Police Department are making a very reasoned argument about this. And I say reasoned because did you know that in Dallas, 2 ounces of marijuana, you are in possession of 2 ounces of marijuana in the city of Dallas, you're golden. You're legal. They have decriminalized 2 ounces of weed here in Dallas. Now, 2 ounces is also kind of a lot. It's a quarter, 4. That's 8 quarters. That's 8 quarters of weed. You're having quite the party if you've got 8 quarts. I still think 2 ounces is a lot, but 2 ounces, like someone could have 2 ounces in their house for their personal use. And they could just be, that's 4 ounces. No, 4 ounces is like, that's too much weed. Did you know that 2 ounces was decriminalized? So if you got 2 ounces of weed on you in Dallas, they're not going to do anything to you. And now the council members are like, we want that to be 4. And again, I ask you, who does that benefit? The street dealers and the drug dealers. And that's why the Dallas Police Department is saying, fucking hold on, wait a second. And I'm telling you, we need to take a look at these people in the Dallas City Council who are pushing for this. We need to see, why are you pushing for that? I want to know why you are pushing. This is an absurd number. It seems to be a number that would only benefit one person, and that is the drug dealer in your community. Can I check your banking records? Can I cross-reference them with, him or whatever? Come on, who is paying you people? It's an absurd proposition here in Dallas. 4 ounces. Let's see here. What else do we have we can get into? Oh, how about this one? This is fun. Want to go through this list? Any single guys out there? Raise your hand. That's me. This is fun. All right, let me show this to you. Let me pull this up. This is a study that was done by the University of Southern California. Okay. This is a unattractiveness score for, here's what they're asking. Least attractive hobbies for men according to women. Okay, so here you go. These are the least attractive hobbies. Chicks don't dig this. If this is what you do and this is what you're all about, just know, youngsters, chicks don't dig this. Number 1, with a score of 90. Now, this is not 90%, but with a score of 90, that's the highest one. The least attractive hobby that a guy can be into as far as a girl is concerned, video games. Playing video games is number 1. Number 2 is collecting figurines. What do you got? Like you got a Star Wars collection? Do you? Okay, not hot. Chicks don't dig that. Number 3, one of the worst things you can be into, the worst hobbies that you can have that will basically make sure you don't get laid. Magic, being a magician, doing magic. Chicks don't dig magic. Let's see. Number 4. How about this? Online trolling. Online trolling? Is that a hobby? Is that for this generation? Is that considered a hobby? I guess it might be. I mean, if you are relentlessly out there trolling every day for shits and giggles, I guess that would be a hobby. But my God, okay, there you go. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, but number 5 here on the list of hobbies that are least attractive to women. This one should be higher up, but I guess that would be. I bet it would be higher up for wives. Hobbies that husbands have that are least attractive to wives. I bet number 1 would be number 5 here. Gambling. Gambling is number 5 least attractive hobby that men can have. Number 6. Yeah, this ain't sexy. This is Bobby Bacala from The Sopranos. Building model trains. Being a model train guy. Not hot. Not getting laid. Chicks are not into it. Here's another one that should be higher up. Women are not thinking about this. This should be higher up. This is fucking awful. I can't believe that this is what? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is number 7? This should be like top 3. This is a red flag. In anybody. I don't care if you're a girl. If a girl did this, I'd be like, yeah, nah, not for me. Can't do that. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Number 7 on the list of hobbies least attractive to women, taxidermy. Taxidermy. That's playing with dead animals and stuffing them and posing them. That is fucking not going to get you laid, guys. Not going to get you. That is not cool. That is not cool. They all look, they're cute and all that stuff, but oh my God. That's such a sociopath. I think sociopaths are taxidermists. I don't know how people who actually, that's so weird. It's so weird. Sybil Summers, my friend, colleague, and Lacey G, another friend and colleague of mine, we have a little group chat going. And for some reason, this group chat is just entirely devoted to dead animals and roadkill. I can't explain it, but it's very funny. And we're having a lot of fun with our little group chat, sending pictures of roadkill to one another. And this came about because we were all just talking, and Lacey, who is from rural Georgia, Lacey said something to the effect of, y'all remember when you'd find a dead animal and just play with it? And me and Sybil were like, no, no, that is not something that we did. We did not find a dead animal and play with it. So it just became an inside joke to us. So now we'll just say we have this group chat. So if I'm walking down the street with the dog or something and I see a dead squirrel, I'll take a picture of it and then send it to the group chat with Merry Christmas, Lacey. I got you something. Got you a dead squirrel. Enjoy. Oh man, Georgia, rural Georgia, Lacey G. Some of the best stories. Oh God. Number 8 in the list of hobbies for men that women find least attractive. Number 8, comic book collecting. Again, I think that should be higher up, but maybe it hurts nobody. Comic book collecting, maybe it hurts nobody. It's just, we're in the Marvel era. So if you're younger, now me, comic book collecting when I was say 22, 23, if I was a comic book collector, no chicks would have been into that. At 22, 23. But that's because the whole Marvel explosion hadn't happened yet. So I do have an open mind on this to think that, next coming generations of teen boys may have re-embraced the whole world of comic books. That my generation, Generation X, we had comic books, but it was a downtime for comics. Our generation was not enthralled by it the way this new generation is. So anyway, there you have it. Comic book collecting. Number 9. Is that number? What is this? Is this 10? Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is comic book collecting. Comic book collecting. Number 9. Now, I'm sorry. This is where I guess apparently I'm not getting any, because this is one of my hobbies. This is something that I really like to do. And I know it sounds lame, but you have no idea how peaceful it is. You have no idea that if you really just like to get inside your own head, you like to just go out, you like nature, you like that kind of shit, this is a good hobby, man, and it hurts nobody. Bird watching. I'm a birder, but I'm not like a pussy birder. I don't go out and I don't look for that's the blue-headed raven wren. I don't care about that. I'm a predator bird watcher. I go out and I look for the hawks and the falcons and the eagles, and I try to spot those. That's what I like. I like big predator birds, apex predator birds. But there's nothing wrong with bird watching, man. You can have a really cool day. You go out and you do some bird watching. It's let's be honest. A lot of those bird watchers are just out in the woods smoking weed. That's what it is. You want to go out in the woods and watch birds? Is that code for getting high? Sure is. Bird watching, number 9 on the list of hobbies that women find least attractive. Number 10. This one comes in at 10. This will be the final one that we'll do. It's kind of funny that of all of these hobbies, this is the one that bothers women the least, but it does rate high enough to make the list. Number 10, pornography. You're a dude who's into pornography. He likes to talk about porno and he likes porn. That only comes in at number 10. That is the 10. These are the 10 least attractive hobbies for men. Pornography at number 10. We'll work our way back up. Number 9 was bird watching. Number 8 was comic book collecting. Number 7 was taxidermy. Number 6 was building model trains. Number 5 is gambling. Number 4 is online trolling. Wait, what did I miss one? Whatever. Online trolling, magic tricks, collecting figurines, playing video games is the number one hobby that chicks dig least. It makes sense, though. It makes sense that like chicks would dig the video game thing least, because that is a very modern, very of the now kind of thing that would probably occupy a lot of time in your boyfriend's life. You know what I mean? Like, dudes are really into video games now. So that seems like it would be number one, because I just hate it. We were supposed to be at the bar an hour ago, but he was playing video games. You know, like that whole, I can see that being a very real and very relevant sort of issue for these young ladies. There you have it. Those are all the things that women don't like that we are doing as hobbies. How about Santos? Let's talk a little bit about Santos. George Santos was in the news yesterday. Remember how brazen that guy was? I did nothing wrong. Remember George Santos? Remember George Santos just, basically ran as a MAGA candidate and just made everything up. And like, they were like, yeah. And then it turned out that he was like a complete train wreck and completely lying about everything. He was a former, cross-dressing drag performer and all this stuff. And he ran some bullshit charities. He just did a whole bunch of stuff. And he was so defiant. And he was so, I will not, and you will see, and I'll be back, and I'm running again. Yeah, that's over with. That's over with. He's all sad and he's all cry. Let's see here. Former Rep. George Santos has pled guilty to fraud charges. Santos was expelled from Congress on December the 1st following allegations of wire fraud and identity theft. Do we have any video of him? Yeah, here we go. Let's watch some video of George Santos. Let's see if he's contrite. Anything that they're be accused of until they get into the room with the lawyers, and then they have to make a plea deal, and then they realize how fucking serious this is. And then all of a sudden they come out and they're like, I don't know what got over me. I don't know how that whole thing. Well, that's the stage that we are in right now with George Santos. And I thought maybe you, because I know I certainly did, would enjoy watching this man severely humbled. Here he is, George Santos, in front of the courthouse yesterday.
Pleading guilty is a
Whoa,
step
how about some sound?
I never imagined I take.
Where's the sound? Oh, sorry. Hold on.
It is a necessary one because it is the right thing to do. It's not only a record. Pleading guilty is a step I never imagined I take. But it is a necessary one because it is the right thing to do. It's not only a recognition of my misrepresentations to others, but more profoundly, it is my own recognition of the lies I told myself over these past years. It is a confirmation with these truths that have flooded me with deep regret for the choices I made. I'm taking responsibility because I have to. There's no other way around it. Moving forward, I am dedicated to making amends for the wrongs I have committed. I understand that there are legal consequences for my actions, and I accept them fully. This plea is not just an admission of guilt. It's an acknowledgement that I need to be held accountable, like any other American.
You guys, this is making me so horny. I swear to God, there is nothing hotter than seeing a complete, arrogant, defiant jackass humbled and brought to his knees on the verge of tears, giving some apology on the steps of a courthouse where he has just pled guilty. Oh my God, is that sexy? Oh, that gets me so hot.
That breaks the law. I hope that by facing these consequences head on, I can begin to demonstrate my commitment to change and to earning your forgiveness. I do not ask for forgiveness, as I know that must be earned through actions, not words. I want to be a part of restoring the integrity that I helped diminish, and I will work tirelessly to regain the trust of those I have let down.
Like he's talking like, I'll be back. Hey, by the way, once I, go through this and spend my time in jail, because he's going to jail, spend my time in jail, I'm going to come back. I'm going to make it better. I'm going to be a congressman again. And I'm going to, no, you're not. You're a fool. And we'll never hear from you again. Actually, that's not true, which is what sucks about this guy. I'd love to say that we're never going to hear from him again. But you know what? This dude is going to, he can go to jail for a little bit, and he's going to come out of jail, and he is going to be able to make so much money off of what? His station. He has achieved a station now. Everyone in this country knows what his name is. He has been parodied on Saturday Night Live. There is money to be made in that. Like, if you just want to live a normal life, like if he just is going to be cool, like making like maybe $200,000 a year, which who wouldn't be? He can do that as George Santos. He can get involved with, he can do lectures. Like, he can get an agent, and people will pay him to come out to their stupid Rotary Club Chamber of Commerce and give a speech about how I made a mistake and I've learned from. That can be a business for him. He could do a podcast where he'll immediately get a huge number of people listening. So right there from the beginning, he'll probably have a major sponsor paying him whatever he wants. This fucking guy, he did all the worst stuff, and he's going to spend a couple of months maybe in some minimum security prison, and then he's going to come back and he's going to be a big celebrity, and he's going to make more money than I ever will in my life. This fucking world is not fair. George Santos. JBM, Jennifer, in the chat room says, they said he will get at least 2 years and probably more likely 8 years. Oh, that would be great. That'd be great. He's going to write a book in prison. He's gonna be fine, man. That's the world we live in now. You are not, if you are famous, you will always be able to make money. You know why? Because the gatekeepers have been fired. The gates have been torn down. The only way that you used to be able to make it with a name that was recognizable was if you were somehow working with one of the networks, one of the major publishing companies, one of the major whatever. They were the gatekeepers. Yes, we can make some money off of George Santos's name. You don't have to do that anymore. When you go to prison and you embarrass yourself, those brands, CBS, NBC, they don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. But that's not how people make money now. He's going to have his own platform, his own podcast, and he's going to have fucking Amazon advertising or whatever. Why? Because 1 million of us are going to listen to it because we know who he is, and he's a fucking train wreck, and that's how he's going to be better than all of us monetarily. It's not fair. We made him a star, and now he's just going to milk that shit for the rest of his life. I don't know that he's ever going to be in a position where he's making like millions of dollars a year and he's super rich. But if he wants to live just a normal life with a car that he can depend on, with a mortgage that's paid for, with a TV and clothes and maybe some vacations, he's got that. Fame, the level of his Q rating, if you will, his Q rating is high enough that he can pretty much be guaranteed that. It's crazy. Hey, you want to go to that bar tonight? Nah, I don't want to go. George Santos is DJing. Oh, fuck, really? He's DJing at that bar? I'll go to that. So what do you think? George Santos does that for free? Or do you think George Santos asked for like $3,000 just to walk in and spin? Why? Because people doing exactly what I just did. People will come in to see fucking weird-ass George Santos do whatever because he's a curiosity. He's going to be fun, and it kills me. Going to be fine. It's going to be better than fine. We love this is a reclamation project. That's the other thing that he's got to look forward to. He shot up, he got taken down, we all laughed at him. Now he gets the third act where he's like, I've learned from, that's, nothing we can do about it. There's nothing we can do about it. He's going to be there. He's going to convince some people that, he was railroaded and all that stuff. Wait till he gets out. You'll hear. It's going to be a different story. Yesterday, I should say, on the steps of the courthouse, very remorseful, very upset, I'm so sorry, and I'm going to fix this. Wait till he gets out of prison. As soon as he gets out of prison, it's going to be like, I was railroaded. It's going to be that whole thing. Oh, here's a story. 102-year-old daredevil. There's a 102-year-old woman who says that she's going to jump out of an airplane. She's going to get strapped to some dude's back, and they're going to jump out of an airplane. Can I have this story? I don't know why the story's not coming up. Oh, my goodness. Hold on. There we go. All right, let me see. Sky's the limit. That's the headline. 102-year-old hopes to become the oldest person to skydive after encouragement from Prince William. Oh, she's an English chick. She's gonna jump out of an airplane. Minette Bailey is leaping out of a plane at 13,000 feet on Sunday. This is coming up in a few days, to raise funds for the Royals' ex-colleagues at the East Anglican Air Ambulance. Don't know what that is. Oh, we got pictures? Fuck yeah, we're looking at these pictures. Oh, look at this old lady. This old lady is awesome. Whatever. Apparently she has done this before. On her 100th birthday, she drove a Ferrari around a racetrack. So she does this shit, and why not? This is why I'm going to start doing heroin at 80. Why not? Try everything. Do everything. She thinks she cares if she dies. She's 102 years old. She's like, her next breath could be her last. Well, I mean, that could be true for any of us. But I mean, she's at that age where, all right, let's look at her. All right, here, this could be a picture of her. Look at this baller lady. 102 years old. She wants to be thrown out of an airplane. Let's get a look at her. Boom, there she is. Look at her. She is awesome. Let's see here. Oh, man, and she's being encouraged by Prince William and Catherine. It says here, Catherine and I hear that you will be marking your 102nd birthday next week with a parachute jump. Knowing that you celebrated your 100th birthday by racing a Ferrari around Silverstone, we are not surprised. I understand both the Motor Neuron Disease Association and the East Anglican Air Ambulance will benefit from your jump. They are tremendous organizations who help many people. From my time in the East Anglican Air Ambulance, I know how many lives are... Okay, who cares? It's about her. It's about the old lady. We don't care. It's about the old lady. She's going to jump out of a... Good for her. Why not? Why not? 103, she's going to participate in a gangbang. She's going to an interracial gangbang. What are you doing for 103, Grandma? I'm thinking interracial gangbang. There you go. There you go. You do what you want. You're 103, man. God love her. Look at her. Here she is. She's driving her Ferrari at 100 years old. This lady's awesome. Here she is on her downtime when she's not being thrown out of an airplane at 13,000 feet at 102 years old. She's hanging out in her backyard, gauging in hot tub threesomes with these two. She's got more going on than she's very energized for a 102-year-old woman. I want to know what happened at 101. You know what I mean? At 100, she drove a Ferrari around a racetrack there, Silverstone, which is the big famous road course there in England. She drove a Ferrari, Formula One and whatnot. She drove a Ferrari around Silverstone. That was 100. And now for 102, she's going to be thrown out of an airplane at 13,000 feet. Probably for not wearing a mask. Oh, do they do that? So what'd she do for 101? Well, what was that about? What happened with 101? Oh, I don't want to. She was sick. She was in the hospital for 101. Oh, fuck. I don't know. I don't know what she did for 101. Anyway, she's 102 years old. She's going to jump out of an airplane, which tells me that she's probably not interested in holding the record anytime soon of being the oldest person on the face of the earth. That record has a new holder. That's right. The oldest person on the face of the earth. I'll tell you exactly who this person is. They died. They died yesterday. So we've got a new world's oldest person. Hold on. Let's see. Jeez Louise. The world's oldest living person, Spain's Maria Brañas Morea, who was born in the United States and lived through 2 world wars, has died at the age of 117, her family said. Maria has left us. She died as she wished, in her sleep peacefully and without pain. That's the way to go at 117. Holy cow. That's how you want to go. That's how you want to go no matter what. In your sleep, peacefully. That's the best option, and God bless you if that's what you get. Let's see here. Who is the oldest person? Brañas is the dead oldest person, who lived for the last 2 decades in the Santa Maria del Tura nursing home in the town of Olat in northeastern Spain, had warned in a post on Tuesday that she felt oh no, she's posting. She's 117. I want to follow a 117-year-old on Twitter or Facebook. She's posting that she doesn't feel. Oh, imagine what the thread read. I wonder Like 117, world's oldest woman posts on Facebook that she's not feeling well. I want to read those comments. I want to see what kind of person she's attracting to that page. You'll be fine. Because you can't be like that. You can't be like you'll be fine because she's probably not going to be fine. She's 117. They changed the temperature in her room. You know, that could be fatal. I mean, you don't know, anything could cause you to die at 117. Anyway, they're gone now. They're dead. And she was only the world's oldest person for a couple of months. She became the world's oldest person following the death in 2023 of French nun Lucille Randon, who was 118. The oldest person in the world who died yesterday, she was only 117. So she wasn't even older than the previous record holder. Who do we got now? Who's in it now? In the wake of Branya's death, the oldest living person in the world is now, ladies and gentlemen, Japan's Tomiko Ituka, who was born on May the 23rd, 1908, and is 116 years old. All right. 116 years old. That's the oldest person on the planet right now. All right, let's see. What else do we have? The big stoner cities. Yeah, we wanted to do that, right? I wanted to talk about the... there's another story. Tyson and Paul. Jake Paul, Tyson. You know, that whole thing. They were supposed to fight. And then, I don't know what happened. Tyson got gout or something. Something was like, I can't do this. So they canceled it. It was supposed to be on my birthday at AT&T Stadium. Apparently, Tyson's better now, and they're going to fight. And they want us to know that they're going to fight again. And they did some face-off thing yesterday, and nobody cares. I don't care anymore. You had me, and then you lost me with the Tyson pulling out at the last moment. Cities with the highest weed index. We're gonna leave you with this. This is the best. This is a fun story. Because you know I just like to shit on cities. I just like to shit on other places that aren't Chicago or Dallas or Dublin. I'm also very protective of Dublin. These are the 20 cities in the United States with the highest weed consumption. All right. So these are the cities that smoke the most weed. Now, you would think that cities where recreational weed is legalized would probably have an unfair advantage. Although not really. Not really. Can you guys hear that? What is that noise? Can you get it? Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. I thought it was I thought I had a feed coming through. So here we go. These are the cities with the highest weed consumption. You want to do all 20? Do you care about all 20? I don't care about all 20. Let's see here. Yeah, we'll do 20. We'll run through them quickly because I don't really have much to say about number 20, Kansas City, Missouri. They consume 1.4 metric tons of weed per year. How about Boise, Idaho? Also 1.4 metric tons of weed per year. Honolulu, Hawaii comes in at number 18, 1.6 metric tons of weed per year. Remember these numbers here. We're in the back end of the top 20. Remember these numbers, 1.6 metric tons. Because wait till we get to, wait till you get into the top 5. They're smoking a lot more weed. Number 17 is Miami, Florida. 1.6 metric tons of weed. Number 17 was Miami. Number 16 is Baltimore. Yeah, I saw The Wire. They smoke a lot of weed in that. Baltimore, 1.7 metric tons. Washington, D.C., 2 metric tons at number 15. Detroit, Michigan comes in at number 14. They consume the 14th most amount of weed, 3 metric tons per year. It's also legal there. It's one of those. Some of these places, it ain't legal. I'll try and point that out. Number 13 is Albuquerque, New Mexico. Albuquerque, New Mexico, 3 metric tons per year. There ain't nothing to do in New Mexico other than get high and look at shit and go, ain't that pretty? That's pretty much it. The entire state of New Mexico is like, the Joshua Tree Forest in California. It's it. It's the entire state. There's that, and then there's like Albuquerque with their gigantic cockroaches. I was in Albuquerque once. I saw a cockroach. Yeah, and that's how I pronounce it. Well, you got a problem with how I pronounce cockroach? I got a problem with how you pronounce Jason Isbell. It's not Jason Isabel. It's Jason Isbell. Albuquerque, New Mexico comes in at number 13. Number 12, Boston, Massachusetts. 3.6 metric tons of weed smoked a year in Boston, Massachusetts. Number 11, how crazy is this? Look at this. All right, so look at this. Number 12 on the list of American cities that consume the most weed, number 12 is Boston. They consume 3.6 metric tons of marijuana a year. Recreational weed in Boston, in Massachusetts, is legal. It's a big, thriving, Eastern American major population center with legal weed, and they do 3.6 metric tons a year. That's number 12. Number 11 is Lincoln, Nebraska, where it's illegal and much smaller than Boston, yet they smoke 3.7 metric tons per year. Boston, way more people, legal, so you can do it without breaking the law, 3.6 metric tons. Lincoln, Nebraska, little stoner college town apparently, it's not legal, 3.7 metric tons with a much smaller population than Boston. Number 11. All right, now let's get into the top 10. Here are the top 10 cities in America for consuming the weed. Number 10. I can't believe this is number 10. This seems like this should be in the top 3. How can this not be? I got to guess on who number 1 is, but how can this not be number 2? Number 10, Las Vegas, Nevada. Las Vegas, Nevada, 4.1 metric tons of weed consumed every year in Las Vegas, Nevada. And by the way, recreational is legalized in Las Vegas. So again, another legalized place. Wait, what is that compared to? Look, dude, Lincoln, Nebraska, where it's illegal, they're smoking 3.7 metric tons of weed a year. Las Vegas, where everyone smokes weed when you're there, because that's all you're doing in Vegas. Las Vegas, 4.1. Lincoln, Nebraska is smoking almost as much weed as Vegas. Lincoln, Nebraska, man, what has gotten into you? All right, number 9. Number 9, we've got the top 10. Las Vegas is 10. Number 9 is Seattle, Washington. Yeah, because, there's, first of all, that's like a great climate for growing really good weed. So they got really good weed. And it's dreary, people smoking coffee or drinking coffee, smoking weed, listening to like really depressing music from the mid-90s. I get it. 4.6 metric tons of weed smoked in Seattle. Number 8. How about this one? Again, this shouldn't be, because this place is much smaller than Seattle, yet they are close. Number 8 is Portland, Oregon. 5 metric tons of weed. Portland was declared the weed capital of the United States, or the best weed city, back in 2023. This according to a study by Real Estate Witch. That sounds like a stupid study. Real Estate Witch. That's who we're going to bank this whole contention on, the findings of Real Estate Witch. Okay. Fine by me. Number 7. You knew this one too. This one, because it was one of the first ones through the door. Actually, it was the first place that I remember where weed was legalized. Denver, Colorado. 6.8 metric tons of weed every year. It's number 7, Denver, Colorado. Number 6, city that consumes the most weed in the United States. Number 6 is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Whoa! Remember, I told you to pay attention to the metric ton numbers, because we have now crossed a line. Philadelphia, 10.6 metric tons of weed per year. 10.6 in Philly. It's not legal either. It's not recreational weed is not legal in Philadelphia or the state of Pennsylvania. Yet they're number 6. They smoke 10.6 metric tons. You got to just make it. Look at these laws. These are places. There are places where marijuana is still illegal at the recreational level. There are places that are just pounding cities of like-sized populations where it is legal. So you can't stop it. What are you doing? And you're not stopping it. Philadelphia, 10.6 metric tons in a city where it's illegal to smoke it recreationally. Number 5 on the list of most weed smokinest towns. Number 5 is Phoenix, Arizona. They have legal weed there, recreational and medical cannabis. They do 11.4 metric tons in Phoenix, Arizona. 11.4 metric tons per year. All right, we're into the top 5 now. Phoenix, Arizona is number 5. Oh, hold on. Sorry. Got to switch I lost my place. Number 5, Phoenix, Arizona. Okay. Number 4. Oh, here we go. Finally, the great state of Texas representing not legal, completely illegal. Houston, Texas is number 4 in the weed smokiness. Just disregarding the law. We're outlaws here. We're Texans. 18.5 metric tons of weed per year is smoked illegally in Houston, Texas. Number 4 is Houston. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? Why do I keep losing my spot? All right, number 4 is Houston. Number 3, cities with the highest weed consumption. Come on, give it to me. Where is it? Oh, look at this. Here we go. I like this. My hometown, Chicago. Chicago, Illinois comes in at number 3 in the cities in America that consume the most weed. See, this would start to track because you're getting into the big population centers where it's legal. Chicago is legal to smoke weed. They have recreational weed and all of that good stuff. Total weed consumed in the city of Chicago, 24.9 metric tons per year. Woo. $244 million in the first year was gotten from now it's all about the economics of it. The economic model for legalized weed in Illinois has been a success. It's been a big success. So all these other places are like, you can't make it legal because the money doesn't end up. No, it looks like it's pretty successfully done in Chicago. Over $1 billion in retail marijuana sales in Chicago in 1 year. $1 billion. All of it taxed. All of it going to schools. They say. That's what they say. I don't know. Let's see here. Number 2. See, this is all going to make sense now. These are places where it's legal, and they are the biggest cities in America. Number 2, largest weed consumer in America. Number 3 was Chicago. Number 2 is Los Angeles. 35 metric tons of weed consumed every year in Los Angeles. 35 metric tons. Remember, we started this list and we were like 1.2 metric tons. 35 metric tons of marijuana consumed every year legally in Los Angeles. All right, here we go. Number 1. You knew what number 1 was going to be. Number 1 is, of course, New York City. New York City is the number 1 weed consumingest city in America. Total weed consumption in the state of New York per year is estimated to be 62.3 metric tons. It's legal. They deliver it right to you. You don't even have to go to a store if you don't want. There you have it. Those are the stoniest cities in America. And then, it's pretty much makes sense, right? I mean, the top 3 anyway. The 3 biggest cities in America, Chicago at 3, Los Angeles at 2, New York at 1, the 3 biggest cities in America where it's legal, you would expect them to have the top 3. Lincoln, Nebraska, though. Don't forget about Lincoln, Nebraska. And Houston, right? Houston was Houston 4? Was Houston 4? It's illegal. It is illegal, and Houston is doing more weed consumption than other major American cities like Philadelphia and Washington, other major American cities where it's legal. It's illegal here, and they're doing it. You can't stop it. You cannot stop it. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Legalize it and tax it. Get some money for roads. Stop selling our tollways to the fucking Chinese. Let's be self-sufficient here, people. No, but you're all still listening to your aunt, your Bible-thumping church lady aunt, who for some reason thinks that someone takes a puff off marijuana and then climbs up on the roof and tries to fly. Let's stop with that nonsense. Jesus Christ, we got people taking all kinds of pills and drugs. Why? Because pharmaceuticals come up with it, convince your doctor to prescribe it, and now all of a sudden you're addicted, but you can't smoke something that grows freely in the ground? Tax it. Put it into schools. Put it into roads. Put it into police. Fine, there you go. You want to back the police more? Let's take some weed money and let's bolster up our local police departments so that they can go out and stop wasting their time with pot dealers and actually be able to combat the real criminals that are out there. Yeah, well, maybe not. Never underestimate the power of that blue-haired church lady who still thinks you're going to take one puff off the magic dust and then kill yourself. Fucking idiots. Morons. All right. Adam says, I'd love to see per capita instead of total volume. Yeah, I'd like to see more of a deep dive on this as well. I'd like to see it broken down more. But that's all I got for you is just by volume. All right, guys, I think that's pretty much going to do it. Hold on. Sorry, I just had me a text that came in unexpectedly that I needed to take. All right, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to end the show here. We're going to finish it up. I appreciate you hanging out with me today. Thank you so much. Once again, I want to remind you that if you're feeling like you want to do something nice for people, you can drop a little something in Kelly's, what do we call it? Kelly's GoFundMe. My beautiful and talented partner unexpectedly died last week, leaving us all in shock. But most notably, she's got 2 little kids who we're trying to nail down the next couple of months and being able to make sure that they have as little disruptions in their lives as possible while all the legal wrangling and whatever is going to happen here with Kelly's situation. She died without signing things, and if you can drop a little something and help the family get by, that would be wonderful. You can go to pugsandkellyshow.com. That's pugsandkellyshow.com. It's a direct link that will take you to the GoFundMe page, which you can also find at GoFundMe.com in loving memory of Kelly Moore. I appreciate you guys hanging out. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Bye.